Hello, good evening. I want to welcome you to Momentum, and this day's talk is going to be about habits. Habits are a very powerful thing that we often get stuck in and find ourselves looping around time and again to get us into troublesome places that ultimately get you to see me, at least in the fitness, nutrition, health type realm. And that's one thing I've been trying to buckle down with a lot of clients lately is what is one powerful habit that we need to shift? And what's one way that we need to go about looking at how you do things different in your world so then we get long lasting habit change and behavioral change and lifestyle change. And that if we can get that lifestyle change, then we're really going to be in a good place. I was reading and researching as I always do before this, and I came across a little joke. And what it was saying was that these two young fish were swimming along, and they just happened to be swimming up to an older fish, and the older fish was swimming the other way. So the two fish going that way, the older fish going this way, and they nod to him, and the older fish says, "Morning, boys. How's the water?" Well, the two fish keep swimming through, and one finally asks the other, "What's water? What is water?" And so what it's about is that the older fish has maturity, wisdom, understands that he is in water, whereas the younger two just kind of like bopping up and down, swimming down through the water, and they're not realizing that they are in a world that's surrounded by habits and rituals and things that they do on a regular basis and that we do as people. And when we can really truly identify that and break that down, then we have great capacity to learn from those, change and develop and improve. Okay, there's a three-step loop that we want to go through, and that the first step that happens in any sort of habit and behavioral cycle is going to be first is the cue. Okay, something like I'm hungry, I'm bored, I'm tired. Somebody walks in, somebody leaves, song goes on. Um, all sorts of cues. Like a cue for us to drive is green light, and a cue for us to stop our car is a red light. Okay, so what is the routine? That's number two. So we have the cue, then we have the routine. All right. So the routine is a physical, mental, or emotional behavior that follows the cue. And so we hit the cue. I'm hungry. What happens after being hungry? Or I'm stressed. I had that with a client yesterday. I'm stressed. Normally I'd go eat. This time I've caught myself in that bad behavior. I'm going to go to the track and walk. So kudos to you for taking a different behavioral pattern. And we've seen that time and again. And with this particular client, and because we've seen it, we know that she can definitely wiggle, move, and bend around when issues become a little bit stressful. And instead of relying on old behavior patterns that could get us in trouble, then we're able to focus and shift to doing some physical activity. So we all know that a walk will go far beyond what and making you feel better than any type of food or any type of substance or anything that you can take to change you. Okay. The last one is the reward. The third one, it's a reward. It's a positive stimulus that tells your brain that the routine works and it's worth remembering and doing again. So oftentimes I'm hungry. I'm going to get food. I have all sorts of dopamine and all sorts of things going around in my body that's telling my brain, oh, like I hit that sugar high, and that becomes a positive reward. So um, right now we're going through Halloween, and that was something that just happened this weekend. Today is Halloween, and so there is susceptible to having behavior patterns that are built around the habits of your prior Halloween experiences. So most of us know as grown adults that gorging and binging on Halloween candy isn't the best thing. you end up feeling kind of crappy. Your energy's a lot lower. You kind of get a little soft in the belly, and because you end up taking a lot of extra sugar, that ends up messing with your hormones and your blood sugars, and ultimately ends up looking to gain some weight because you end up taking more calories in. You are craving sugar now, and so it's just a bad setup for you. Okay. Now, um, one thing that we want to talk about is understanding that habits are much easier when you're in control, and when you're able to learn the cues and modify the rewards of that, then we are able to change the routines that we go through, and that's the behavioral stuff that we see. Now, there's one habit that they call the keystone habit. Keystone habit is the main habit that causes a chain reaction of disrupting other habits. Okay, so your keystone habit would be something like exercise, getting into an exercise habit, and because you start moving or walking or whatever, you naturally start eating better. You become more productive with at work and at home. You feel less stressed. And so when anybody ever starts with me, that's one of the behavioral patterns that I'm most interested in. It's not about going to get a killer workout. Just move 30 minutes a day. That's the habit I want you to adopt, because if I can get you to move right away, then we can build up your capacity to and desire to do more. You might be super excited to get going right now, but that excitement might wane in 2 or 3 weeks. And so we want to take and create as much momentum and behavioral changes as we can. So if I can get you to do 30 minutes of planned activity every day, you're carving out time. You're then changing your behaviors to promote positive health changes, and we're building our body up so that when harder work comes, you can handle it. Okay, and that's what we want. So the keystone habit is the one that will start to shift and shake everything up. Okay, identifying it, this particular habit is a little bit of a trial and error, and the goal is to find what will create small wins, and that will you can start taking small advantages of that ultimately create a larger impact. So we're looking for small wins every day, and so if I can get you to do that, or say like let's start drinking more water. And ultimately, the goal that I have for any nutritional habit that I have for any client is going to be let's drink a lot of water, let's get enough protein in, let's get a lot of fiber in, and after that we can start working on other things, because if I can get you full feeling from those three things, the calories are going to be controlled, your hunger is going to be controlled, you're going to be satiated more, and ultimately you're probably going to be picking better food quality along the way. Okay, found a study, I'm going to read it here. 2009 weight loss study found that small wins, when the researchers instructed one group of participants to make no lifestyle changes other than keeping a food log diary about what they ate. Okay, they just wrote it down. Okay, what happened was the participants naturally began to identify patterns, which made them do a better job at the whole planning ahead for their meals, which led into eating healthier meals because they didn't want to put all this effort in and eat crap. The group that kept the food log lost twice as much weight as the other study participants. Okay, one big reason why I want you to use MyFitnessPal is right here. Tracking your food, writing it down, makes you become aware, and that is the pattern interrupt that we want when we are talking about behavioral changes and patterns and habits. Okay, if I can create a behavior change by a pattern interrupt and you becoming aware of it, then we're starting to win. That's going to be a really good thing for us. Okay, think of before we worked together, just any before you decided that you wanted to change. We'll go back a couple years when we had CDs. You put the CD in the car, you press play, it goes round and round, plays the same songs day in, day out. And before you come aware of the water, as the old fish puts it, to the younger fish, you're just playing at CD. It is life, it is the way it is, and that's just how it is. And at some point, you realize that the CD's playing, you're like, wait, I can change the station, I can fast forward, rewind, I can put another CD in. And so what we want to do with this particular CD, if it's playing bad tunes, we want to pull out, scratch it up all over the ground, and then put it right back into the CD player. And what happens when we press play? Nothing happens. We can change. It's a pattern interrupt. It allows us to become highly aware of what's going on and how we are able to shift from our patterns of behavior that we're currently living in. Okay, so keeping a food log, guess what? I want you to do it. It might be painful to start. You might not quite understand why, but it's the habits around your nutrition. When another client, she sees that I have two people told me this. They're eating, well, the gentleman was eating like 4,500 calories in 2 meals, and he is getting like 2,800 in 5 to 6, and is stuffed. Whereas the other time, he probably could eat again at that much, and he was only eating it in 2 meals, okay? Same thing with the other one. The lady, she's having a really hard time trying to get to 2,000 calories, which for this person is where I want her to be. She's about 1,500 calories in and is stuffed and full feeling the whole time. So she's been losing weight, losing inches, gaining energy while she's been stuffed and uncomfortable the whole time that we've been working together. That's a huge win, because this is creating good positive behaviors that you don't have to starve yourself, that you can actually eat a lot of food and still reach your goals. It's just about what food it is. And so we take that food log, we take that MyFitnessPal, and we start to understand what macros are, how to properly fuel yourself, what's a good meal to be eating in terms of ratio and balance of proteins, carbs, and fats. How much water do I need? All these things really kind of, am I getting enough protein? For the ladies out there, that is always the biggest struggle. Ladies, you have to have over 100 grams of protein. If you get to the end of the day and you don't have it, guess what? Just go eat more. Like, it's that simple. Okay? Ideally, about 130 to 150 grams is going to be a pretty good spot. Now, it's going to be an old habit of not eating protein that's going to kind of get you all weirded out and be like, well, that's a lot of protein, Brian. That's too much, I think. I'm like, no, it's not. It's all relative to your own perception. And your perceived truth is that this is how much protein you need, and I'm telling you to eat this much protein, okay? So that's kind of some of that about the food logs. Now, ultimately, when you take that food log, you track those macros, guess what? We understand. Well, not me, I already understand, but you understand how food interrelates to itself, how your habits around food can affect your energy levels, how that combining the foods can give you more satiation, how eating enough fiber fills you up, how avoiding sugar actually gives you long-lasting, sustainable energy. Okay, so that's some really good positive things when it comes to you understanding. And let's fast forward like 5 years from now. You're like, oh, I actually understand how to kind of like make this work, track my food, and kind of get back on it if you have a bad Halloween weekend and you eat too much candy and celebrate with the adults a little bit too much with that cider, the adult cider or whatever. And you know, in the next couple months, coming out of Halloween, we have the holidays, so cookies, treats, and all those things start showing up everywhere inside of your workplace more often than not. And let's even talk about that habit. So your old habits of workplace and eating are, you probably had the donut, you probably had the bagel, you probably had the carbs, the cake, the whatever it would be at. I'm going to get a quick drink here. Whatever that would happen to you at work, you get cued. Somebody says, "Hey, we're gonna go sing Happy Birthday." Guess what? It's cake time. Everyone in the office is having cake. Okay, or you smell the donuts as they walk in the door. That's the cue. I'm hungry. I'm gonna get up and go follow the line of people uh, sluggishly marching toward the donuts, thinking that it's a wonderful, wonderful treat for them to be eating on this day. So um, those are the workplace habits are really, really lack. Uh, Really create some awareness around it so that you're not just doing what everybody else is. You should probably be doing what everybody is not doing, the exact opposite. And oftentimes, when people tell you to do the exact opposite, it's probably the smartest thing in the book to do. So, enough about workplace habits. You understand that you can't be going in there and having a donut that's like 300 calories. That could be like a third of your day, and that is not a great thing. Now, next up, I want to talk about willpower and how that kind of goes into behavior patterns, lifestyle, and habits, of course. So, I would say, think of Mario Brothers or like an action superhero hub inside of a video game. So you have your power bar. My power bar is obviously low right now. It's late in the evening, and I've been up cranking it all day. And so my energy level goes with the day, okay, with the stresses, with the things that I need to manage, and it just kind of keeps chipping off until it's time to reset and go to bed, and hopefully you get enough rest so then you wake up with a full energy bar, right? Now, if you have good, strong energy, then your decisions are better made. All right. Now, willpower is the same thing. It just kind of dwindles as the day goes. You want to make sure that you are empowered and taking the best positive decisions that you need to be made in the morning and not waiting until the afternoon or evening to be doing it. They always call it the morning power hour. So you get up, get moving, get out there, and punch the day in the face and get as much of the powerful tasks that need done that are going to create the biggest headway for you and keep you moving forward, okay? Now, we know that willpower is in limited supply. So how do we get around this? Well, we want to plan a routine that will allow you to know where the pain and temptation are strongest inside of the cue. So the cue comes, what's that pain? What's that temptation that's going to be really strong and prevalent, and how do we start avoiding this? And when you allow yourself to be and use your intellect, be creative, then we are able to start moving around those cues and just being aware. And that's where I found that all throughout the research I was doing, intellect and creativity in the person themselves creates the best social outcome. So if you are intelligent and make intelligent choices, are being creative in this, then you problem solve significantly greater than people on other that aren't allowed to do that or can't do that, or even think of you as an employee if you are an employee, or even a business owner or whatnot. Like your intellect and creativity limits your capacity. So the more intellect and creativity you have, the better off you're going to be, and that's a really good thing. Excuse me, there's that willpower. It's seeping out of me, that energy. So, going back to intellect and creativity, people perform far better and have much greater willpower when they feel like they're doing something that is a personal choice, okay? How often you get stuck being told what to do? Nobody likes to be told what to do, but if it's your decision and it's what you're doing and you're taking action on, then you see and understand that there's a purpose. Thank you. When people are just following orders, then your willpower is much more difficult. So that's one thing that I try not to do with anybody is give you direct orders. We want to agree on what are your next best steps. We want to then have you recite them if you have the videos that we do. So what is it we're doing? How are we doing it? What are we doing until we see each other again? And when you can commit to yourself by using your intellect and your creativity, guess what? Things happen. You get those abs in, you get the extra work in, you get the walks in, you get the running, you get the extra circuits in that are going to make a long-term difference now. Okay? To help with this power of habits and behavior change, one simple tool that we can do and allow you to kind of nurture new habits is to use the sandwich method of habits. Okay, so we have in your existing routine, we have some positive things like I'm going to the gym, I'm going to work out, and so what we can do is we can sandwich. Maybe you've been working on drinking more water. When can I do it? Well, I'm going to drink water after my workout before I go to my next meal. It'd be an easy way to so we're doing a workout. We're going to get that water in then to get an extra 20 ounces in if you struggle to get enough water in. Then we're going to be focused on that post-workout nutrition that we want plenty of protein in and some good carbs, help fuel up so you can build those biceps and get those muscles that you are looking for. So no matter how strong your habit is, you need to make sure that you're aware that the habits exist and that you have the ability to change it no matter what. So you can use the sandwich method. You can become aware of it. You can be paying attention to the cues and the routines that you do on a regular basis. But ultimately, it doesn't matter how strong it is. Know that you have the capacity to change whenever and wherever and however. Okay, it just comes to the mind. There was a story that I've heard from E.T., who's the name. He talked about this elder in the business world was talking to a younger gentleman. The younger gentleman wanted to be truly successful in business, and so the older man said, "What, you want to be successful?" He's like, "Yes, I do." And so he told him to go to the beach, meet him at the beach. "If you want to be successful, meet me at the beach at 4 in the morning tomorrow." And the guy's like, "All right, like, well, I want to be successful, and you know what you're doing, so I'm going to meet you down there." So then what he does is when he gets out to the beach at 4 in the morning, the guy's all dressed up in a suit and tie, the young dude is, and the older guy's in, like, beach clothes, like, he's ready to go swim. And for good reason, because he tells the young dude, like, if you want to succeed in business, you want to succeed at life, we need to go swim. So he takes him out there, and he keeps getting him to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And ultimately what happens is the old man, the older elder, holds him under the water. And the reason, now mind you, this is just a story, but the young man is fighting for his life underwater. And when he brings him up, he's like, if you want to be successful at business and in life, you need to want it as bad as you want to breathe. And that's where a habit, no matter how strong, smoking, addictions, like any of that stuff, can be changed. It's been changed by many people before because they've wanted it bad enough, okay? Now, here is, I'm working on getting out a PDF booklet that you'll be able to use to start identifying some habits that you need to change, and I want you to start focusing on those and how are we going to change this, because in the course of 12 weeks, if we change 1 to 2 a week, that's up to 24 different habits that we can work on that start changing and making a better situation. So when you get stressed, instead of going to eat that candy, you go for a walk. That's an easy one. Instead of going for that bag of chips, you go for the apple. Huge difference in how that's going to turn out for you in the long haul. So Now, so what I want to do is kind of guide you through some ideas on how to do it. Um, Ultimately, there's a infinite number of habits that we as humans come up with and create. There's thousands of different formulas to change them, but one easy, simple way that we can follow is this formula that I found. So, one, we want to identify the routine. It might not always be obvious, but it's the easiest part to usually identifying the behavior you want to change. So, what is the routine that you're doing that as soon as you become aware of, you're like, man, that's not really leading me to the promised land. So, I'm walking down the hallway. My routine is to go check in the break room to see if there's any goodies. Like, that's a bad routine, okay? Um, and we want to change that. Now, next up, we want to, number two, experiment with different rewards, okay? So, I skip out on this prior reward to then change it to something better, and we can start creating a new habit loop, okay? Um, oh, excuse me. Oh. So, one habit loop that we can do is that, like, maybe you want to eat some junk food, and so instead of junk food, you end up having an apple instead. Okay, you're hungry for some reason, probably boredom, so you end up having an app. Well, here's how we're gonna do it. So every afternoon we eat drunk around 3 o'clock. Okay, so we can have an apple, we can have some coffee, we can get chatting with some friends, and for like 15 minutes or something. And if you're able to identify a cue, then you can kind of start experimenting with how to get rid of that hunger. Okay, and as you kind of keep poking around it, you want to first figure out if you're actually hungry, and if you were or are, then an apple would be perfect there. Obviously, protein with that as well. If you're tired and you're having a coffee, if you're routinely tired at like 3 p.m. and it's not a food thing, then um, coffee will be great. Maybe you need to hit coffee around 2:30, so by the time 3 rolls around, you're smooth with the energy. Now, we're not not necessarily suggesting that we use caffeine to help boost us and get us through the day, because that can be a drain on your adrenals, but it can get us through the day. That's what caffeine and coffee is good for. Um, then, if you just needed a break from the monotonous and the routine of work, maybe it's just talking with somebody. Okay. So number one is identifying the routine that you want to change. Experiment with different rewards for that behavior change that you're doing to see what is going to work out. Isolate the cue. Okay. Now, when you found that the reward that satisfies you, then we really want to kind of start working on what the cue is and how is these things coming up. So at 3 o'clock, I'm tired because of why. So we have 5 different things that we need to look at here. So we need to look at location, we need to look at time, we need to look at emotional states, we need to look at other people around us, and then immediately pending action. Okay, so location: am I at work, or am I at home, or where am I? What are my surroundings that are getting me into this particular cueing, this state of me going into this particular routine and habit that I normally do. Time: is it, what time of the day is it routinely that you find yourself in these bad habits? Emotional state: are you full of energy? Are you lively? Are you a little stressed out? Or are you plain old mad? Those will have a big difference in on how your energy is and how you feel. Other people, whether they are fun sponges and they're not really that fun and they kind of like suck you dry, energy vampires, or are they someone who kind of pushes you up and lifts you up? And those are fun people to be around. And then lastly, pending action. So things that are need to be done right now. That could be something that causes stress. If you have a habit and you're serious about changing it, right, documenting what is going on in these particular setups that cause you to go eat or do things that aren't good for you, excuse me, are going to allow you to write it down and start noticing patterns of behavior that you'll be able to actually shift. Okay. Then last up is have a plan. Okay. Once you understand the routine, the reward, and then the cue that's causing it all, you can start designing it differently. So if you're sitting for long periods of stretches and it leads you to be tired around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that causes you to go look for food, sugar particularly, then maybe you can make sure you get up and move a bit preceding that 3 p.m., like 1 or 2 o'clock. Take regular breaks so you keep the energy up, and that's going to help you be successful. Now, wrapping up here with some of the fitness realm stuff, habits that we want to focus on, and there's kind of 3 tiers that I kind of put through here. So one is coming from just really a real nutrition background and kind of honing in on this particular thing, is that we're eating fresh and minimally processed foods. Okay, so habit number 1, like these are and most important. Okay, and the things that you should be consumed with most, and then we'll get into the things that are more detailed things. And if you've got these top level habits done, then we can start working our way down. And that's the same thing with the overall general strategy. Can I get you to move 30 minutes a day when you start with me? Because if I can, then I can just get you built up and going and all that. So, 1, eat a variety of fresh and minimally processed foods. Have a health-focused kitchen and grocery shopping. Okay, your kitchen, you should be open and all your pantries up and be invited by good, healthy foods. Okay, if you're surrounded by junk, then guess what? It's going to be your willpower is not going to hang in there. Basic physical activity program. So it goes from 30 minutes a day of movement to, okay, let's start doing some bodyweight stuff, or going to the gym and doing a simple routine that you can kind of get into. Because ultimately, I know another person who just is starting to enjoy the workout, and it actually gives her energy into the evening, so then she can go home and actually engage with her fiance rather than kind of dragging around or bringing work home with her, and that's how she can work that stuff out and go home and enjoy the rest of the evening. Then one of the other basic ones is the supportive social environment. So this hopefully is one of them here. I hope to be very supportive for you in your fitness and nutrition endeavors, surrounding you and people in the momentum that you can always lean on and kind of create relationships with, because if you have people in your corner, then it's a good thing. If you tell people and they're not as supportive, that's not a good thing. They're just going to kind of make fun of you and poke at you, and not cool. So the second kind of tier of stuff that we want to do is progressive training system. So we can get, after we get you moving 30 minutes a day, I can start working in harder things, because you'll be able to handle both physically but also mentally. And oftentimes, if you haven't been moving and working out in a long time, it can be kind of hard. It's sore. Like, it's kind of a big task to just start moving and working out and training. Now, the second one is tailored portion sizes. So we can get a lot more specific with portions and also nutrient timing, of what time of day should I be eating, what types of foods, and specific carbs and proteins and fats and whatnot. And so we can kind of get to a little bit higher level there. Now, the top level is really improving your goal strategy, goal setting strategy, and so SMART. So we're looking for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based goals that are going to fast forward you to get you some fast action results. Now, another one is advanced nutrition and exercise plans. So we can get pretty nitty-gritty and focused in on doing really big, cool things that are important, but also that can be overwhelming if you're not prepared for it. Having balanced macros, huge fan of typically starting people out with 40 carbs, 30 fats, 30 proteins, or thereabouts. That's a general prescription to get the ball rolling, and we can start tweaking and twisting from there. Ideally, trying to come up with your ideal calories, which is the last one is your targeted caloric intake. We can run you through formula and give you a rough estimate, but based on activity of the day and how you move and what type of movement you do, and your metabolism, where that's at, will change the number of calories that you need. So hopefully this helps. Below there will be a 12 weeks of habit changes that I want you to make, and I want you to kind of tune into and make it an important part to do. Because if in the next 12 weeks I can get you to change 24 habits that you're doing for better, replace them with better habits, and you're aware of that stuff, it's just going to feed into itself. It's going to create success that we're looking for. So um, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you are thinking of the habits that you're in that we need to improve, and you can simply let me know what those are, what we need to do, and we'll come up with a game plan that will help you. So have a wonderful time with habits, and be aware that we all have habits, whether good or bad, and that you can change them, hopefully for the good.